Commander Elias Ward stepped out of the dropship and felt the strange, heavy air of Vihor-Kazun press against him. The sky above him was dark red, filled with drifting ash that came from the burning remains of alien cities far in the distance. The land was quiet, too quiet for a world that had once been the center of a powerful empire. Now it felt like a graveyard. Every step he took echoed across empty stone streets and broken towers that had collapsed during the final battles. Elias had seen war zones before, but this place felt different. It felt like the last breath of a dying world. He moved forward carefully, escorted by 2 human marines and 3 tall Vorkazi guards covered in dark armor. They walked silently, their thin limbs and sharp movements giving them an eerie grace. Yet Elias could see something else in their eyes: fear. These warriors, known across the galaxy for their pride, now looked nervous in their own home. That told him everything he needed to know about how badly their people had suffered. The group continued through the wide pathway that once led to the capital's throne hall. Statues had fallen. Massive walls carried deep scars from alien energy weapons. Entire sections of the city were still smoking from recent attacks. Vorkazun had been under siege for years by the Shatterborn, a swarm-like enemy that used terror as naturally as breathing. Humanity had fought them too, but only now realized how close the war had come to swallowing the galaxy. Elias kept walking, adjusting the small metal clasp on his uniform collar. He was not here as a soldier today. He was here as an envoy, someone trusted to speak for Earth. Someone who had the responsibility to either form an alliance or watch another civilization fall. The thought sat heavy in his chest. As they approached the entrance of the throne chamber, the Vihor-Kazi guards stopped and bowed their heads low. Their leader clicked his mandibles once, a sign of respect. "Human commander," he said in a deep, vibrating voice. "The queen awaits you inside. She is the last of her line. Speak to her with honor. Speak to her with honor." Elias nodded. "I will." The giant doors slid open, revealing a dimly lit hall with long pillars rising into darkness. Soft blue light shone from crystals embedded in the floor, guiding his path. At the far end of the room sat Queen Shakira, the ruler of a dying empire. She was tall, easily twice his height, but her posture held a tired grace. Wounds covered parts of her exoskeleton, and her silver mantle, once a symbol of unstoppable power, hung, torn, and stained. Even so, she radiated authority. Elias approached slowly, stopping several meters away. He bowed slightly, the respectful gesture they had taught him before the mission. The queen's dark, glowing eyes fixed on him. For a long moment, neither spoke. The silence felt heavy, as if the entire world held its breath. When she finally rose from her throne, her voice was soft, but carried across the chamber with calm power. Elias straightened. "I am here to help your people if we can. Earth does not abandon its allies." A small, almost sad sound came from her throat. "Allies," she repeated, tasting the word as if unsure what it meant anymore. She stepped closer, each movement slow and deliberate. "What we face is not a war of allies, it is a war of survival. And my people—" Her voice trembled for the first time. "My people stand at the edge of extinction." Elias saw it then, the weight she carried. The loss of millions, the endless fighting, the responsibility of leadership, when hope was nearly gone. He opened his mouth to speak, but she lifted a hand to stop him. "I did not summon you for comfort," she said quietly. "I summoned you because I have made a choice." Her gaze locked with his, deep and unreadable. "Human, will you be my king?" Elias froze. The words echoed in his mind, and he felt the Marines behind him stiffen. He knew the Vhor-Kazi language well enough to understand she was not speaking of marriage. King, in their culture, meant something else entirely. A partner in rulership. A symbolic equal who bound their fate to hers. But still, The meaning was enormous. If he accepted, he would become the first human ruler of an alien empire. If he refused, the alliance might die then and there. He took a slow breath. Your Majesty, that is a decision I cannot take lightly. Human governments. Before he could finish, the Queen moved forward with sudden speed, her long arms gently but firmly wrapping around him. The Marines reached for their weapons, but Elias raised a hand to stop them. He understood what she was doing. He had been warned of this. The Vorkazi shared truth through touch. When she held him, Elias felt it memories pouring into him not as images, but as emotions and sensations. He felt the terror of her people as the Shatterborn broke through their city shields. He felt the desperation of soldiers making their last stand on burning walls. He felt the sorrow of mothers searching the ruins for children who would never be found. He felt her strength, her fear, her pain, her hope, and then he felt her loneliness. She was the last queen of her people, carrying every burden alone. The connection faded, and she released him slowly. Elias stepped back, shaken but steady. She spoke again, her voice softer than before. You see now why I ask. Her eyes dimmed. A king is not a husband. A king is a partner, a symbol, a force strong enough to unite the broken pieces of my world. My people will follow you if you stand beside me. If you refuse. She lowered her head slightly. Then we will fall. Elias swallowed hard. He understood now their survival depended on unity, and humanity's future might depend on Vorkazuan's ancient technology. This was not a proposal of love. It was a plea, born from desperation and respect. He met her gaze again. Your Majesty, I don't know if I am worthy of such a role, but I know this humanity will not turn away from those who ask for help. He took a step closer. Also, Osamanis and Alpha, I will stand with you. I will not let your people fall. A quiet breath escaped her, almost like relief. She closed her eyes briefly, then nodded. Then, together, she whispered, we will change the fate of our stars. And in that moment, in the broken throne hall of a dying empire, a new alliance was born, one that would shake the galaxy. Commander Elias Ward stood in the quiet aftermath of the Queen's words, feeling the weight of everything she had shown him. The throne hall was still dim, lit only by the soft blue glow beneath their feet. The air felt heavier than before, as if the world itself waited for his next breath. He had agreed to stand with her, but he knew the meaning behind her request was deeper than the simple words she had spoken. Queen Shakira slowly returned to her throne, her movements careful, almost tired. For a moment, she closed her eyes and rested her hand against one of the tall pillars beside her, as if drawing strength from the stone. Even in her exhaustion, Elias could see why her people still followed her. There was a quiet fire in her presence, a strength shaped by endless battles and sacrifice. You must understand, she said softly, not looking at him yet. A king in our culture is not someone who rules from comfort. He stands where the danger is highest. He carries the burdens of command with the Queen. He becomes a symbol of unity, not dominance. Elias listened carefully. Her voice carried a gentle echo in the large chamber, each word brushing against his mind like the faint touch of the telepathic link she had used before. She finally raised her gaze to him. Will you allow me to show you more? Not visions this time, but truth. The truth of why I chose you. Elias nodded. I'm ready. The Queen stepped forward again, keeping a respectful distance. Vorkazi customs considered closeness a sacred gesture, never used lightly. You are human, she said. Your people have not lived through the same centuries of war we have. Yet you fight with hope. You believe tomorrow can be better. My people. She took a slow breath. We have forgotten how to hope. Elias felt a small ache in his chest. Hope can be relearned. She studied him silently for several seconds. That is why you must be king, she said finally. Not because of your strength, not because of your title, but because your presence reminds my people what they have lost. He hadn't expected that. What exactly do you want me to do? 2. The queen walked past him, toward the exit of the throne hall. Come, you must see the heart of my people before you understand. She motioned for him to follow. Elias signaled his marines to stay at the entrance. This moment required the trust he wished to build. They stepped into a wide corridor lit by glowing blue lines running along the walls. Shakira moved with slow, deliberate steps, as though remembering a time when these halls were filled with life. Elias followed closely, studying everything: the architecture, the symbols carved into the walls, the quiet sadness in her movements. After several minutes, they came to a large chamber shielded by a force barrier. Inside, thousands of Vihorkazi refugees sat together. Many were injured. Others whispered to each other in low, broken tones. Children huddled close to their elders. The air felt thick with despair. Shakira lowered the barrier with a wave of her hand and stepped inside. The refugees turned their heads instantly. And then, something remarkable happened. Even in their exhaustion, even in their grief, every Vihorkazi in the room slowly bowed their heads to their queen. Elias followed her, feeling the weight of their eyes shift toward him. Some looked confused, others curious, but none hostile. This is why the Shatterborn target us first, Shakira said quietly. They believe if they break the spirit of Horkazun, they break the galaxy's oldest empire. And without us, the rest will fall more easily. Elias walked gently among the refugees. One small Vihorkazi child stepped forward, trembling slightly. Elias knelt to meet her eyes. She studied him closely, clicking her mandibles in a tiny, cautious pattern. She asks if you are the human the queen chose, Shakira translated gently. Elias offered a warm smile. Tell her yes. Shakira repeated his words telepathically, and the child's eyes widened. She touched his hand briefly before darting back behind an older guardian. Some of the other refugees began whispering. Elias didn't understand their language, but he understood their tone. Shakira watched them for a while. Then she turned back to Elias. This is what we fight to protect. Not the empire. Not the crown. Our people. If you become king, you carry their survival with you. She paused. It is a heavy burden. She paused. She paused. She paused. She paused. I know, Elias said, but I gave my word. She studied him with those deep, glowing eyes, as if reading the emotions beneath his voice. Then, in a gesture that surprised him, she placed her hand over her heart. It was a Vihorkazi sign of respect, rarely given to outsiders. You speak like a king already, she said softly. Elias wasn't sure how to respond, so he simply nodded. But inside, he felt the weight of her words settle into him like armor. They left the refugee chamber and continued through the palace. Shakira led him toward a large chamber filled with shimmering holograms. Battle maps floated in the air, displaying star systems under attack. Red markers spread outward from the shadows of deep space the Shatterborns advance. They grow stronger each day, Shakira said. If we do not unite our forces soon, Earth will face the same fate as Vihorkazuun. Elias stared at the maps. The enemy's spread was terrifying. Entire sectors had fallen in weeks. Some had disappeared completely from records. What do you need from humanity? He asked. The queen extended one long arm, pointing at a star system near the center of the map. Your fleets. Your creativity. Your unpredictability. She turned slightly, giving him a faint, tired smile. Humans break rules when rules no longer work. My people follow tradition. We need both to survive. Elias studied her carefully. And what will your people offer in return? Shakira pressed a hand against the nearest hologram, making it shift into a new image. A device, a strange, glowing construct, hovered in the projection. This, she said, is something humanity has never seen. What is it? A weapon older than your world. Her tone was quiet and serious. If it falls into enemy hands, the galaxy will burn. But if we use it together... Gavin. She let the sentence fade. Elias understood. Their alliance was not just symbolic. It was the only chance either species had. Shakira stepped closer again, but this time, she did not touch him. Instead, she bowed her head, slowly, respectfully. Commander Elias Ward, will you take the next step? Will you stand beside me not just in name, but in leadership? Elias felt a steady resolve filling him. He looked at the Queen, at the maps, at the memories she had shown him. And then, he answered with simple, firm words. I will stand with you. Fully. Shakira breathed out slowly, as if she had been holding that breath for a long time. Then the path ahead begins now. Her voice carried both hope and fear. But for the first time since Elias arrived on the ruined world, she did not sound alone. Commander Elias Ward stood beside Queen Shakira as the great war maps shifted again, showing new clusters of enemy movement. The dim chamber hummed with low energy as holographic lines stretched across the starfield. Elias felt the weight settling more heavily on him now. He had promised to stand with her, and now the time had come to prove it. For the next several hours, he and the Queen worked side by side. They studied enemy attack routes, explored fallback positions, and discussed what a united command would even look like. Shakira taught him about her people's war traditions. The honor circles, the silent signals, the ancient code of battle. Elias taught her about humanity's unpredictable tactics, how humans improvised, adapted, and turned weakness into strength. Their ideas clashed more than once, but each time, they found a middle ground. At one point, Shakira paused and looked at him with calm intensity. Humans do not fight like us, she observed. You mean we don't follow the rules? Elias said with a slight grin. Exactly, she replied. Your unpredictability is your greatest weapon. The Shatterborn do not understand it. They expect structure, logic, patterns. But you, she gestured at him, you create chaos that even my people cannot predict. Is that a compliment? A warning, she said. But there was a hint of dry humor in her tone. Elias chuckled softly. But his smile faded when he saw a small, blinking red marker on the map. What is that one? The Queen's expression hardened. That is our nearest military outpost. It fell silent yesterday. If the Shatterborn have taken it, they gain a direct path to the core of our planet. Then we need to move fast, Elias said. Together. Shakira nodded, and the two left the chamber. Outside the war room, a group of Vorkazi guards waited silently. They bowed when they saw the Queen, and several glanced curiously at Elias. He still felt the strange weight of being seen as a possible king, even though the word meant something different to their culture. As they walked down the corridor, Shakira spoke again. My people will struggle with this change. They have never accepted an outsider in a position of authority. I'm not here to rule them, Elias said, just to help. That is why they may accept you, she replied. A true ruler does not seek power. He didn't answer. He wasn't sure he deserved her trust, but he intended to earn it. They reached the outside courtyard, where Vorkazi soldiers prepared for departure. Sleek, dark ships rested on landing pads, glowing faintly with blue energy. Human engineers were already working alongside the aliens, trying to understand the technology and link communication systems. Elias paused to watch the scene. It felt unreal. Two species, once distant and unfamiliar, now working as one force. Shakira stepped beside him. "This is what a bonded army looks like," she said quietly. The queen raised her voice slightly. "Warriors of Hor-Khazun, prepare to depart. Humans will join us. Today we reclaim our outpost." The soldiers let out a sharp clicking cry of agreement, the Vhor-Khazi version of a battle cheer. Some turned toward Elias with measured curiosity. A few even nodded respectfully. He nodded back. Before boarding the ships, Shakira approached Elias. "Before we face the enemy, there is something you must understand." "What is it?" She extended her arm slowly. "The bond we shared earlier, the telepathic link, it was only a glimpse. In battle, our leaders share a deeper connection. It allows the army to feel unity, to move with purpose. If we link in combat, they will sense your resolve. They will trust you. Though." Elias exhaled softly. The idea made him nervous, but he remembered the pain she had shared before and how much it revealed. "I'll do what I must." Shakira placed a hand gently on his shoulder, a gesture of respect rather than closeness. "I will not force this on you, but if the battle turns, I may need your mind beside mine." He nodded, and they boarded the command ship. The interior of the vessel was unfamiliar: curved walls, glowing lines of energy, controls that responded to touch and thought together. Elias settled into the co-command chair beside the queen. The ship lifted smoothly into the air, and within moments, the burned landscape of Vhor-Khazun shrank beneath them. As they rose into the red sky, Elias looked out the window. Ash clouds swirled like smoke from an endless fire. Far below, the ruins of ancient cities stretched across the land like broken bones. It was a sad sight, but the Queen's armies rising together felt like the first spark of hope. The fleet entered orbit, and Elias watched the stars appear. The Queen spoke calmly, through a voice channel that echoed across every ship. "Warriors, today we reclaim what is ours. Today we show the Shatterborn that Vhor-Khazun still stands, and that we do not stand alone." Her words carried steady strength. Elias could feel the morale of the fleet rising. The ships cut through space toward the silent outpost. It stood on a small moon, half shadowed by distance. As they approached, the command screens flickered with warning signals. "No life signs detected," Shakira said softly. "But no Shatterborn ships either. This is unusual." Elias leaned forward. Could it be a trap? Possibly. Or something worse. The fleet slowed and scanned the moon. The outpost appeared dark, its shield collapsed. Pieces of buildings floated off the surface, drifting like debris in low gravity. A sudden flash of red lit up the screens. Shakira's voice tightened. "Incoming Shatterborn signatures." Elias's heart raced. The enemy had been hiding beneath the moon's surface. Now, they burst outward, like a swarm of black shards, their ships jagged and chaotic in shape. The Queen stood tall. "All units, form defensive pattern." The first wave of enemy fire crashed into the shields. The ship shook violently. Elias grabbed the side of his chair to steady himself. "They are probing us," Shakira said, "testing our response." Elias pointed at the nearest hologram. "Then don't give them time. Humans do better when we hit hard first. Aim for that cluster." Shakira glanced at him briefly, then nodded. "Fleet, adjust targeting. Follow the human commander's strike point." The ships turned sharply and fired a coordinated barrage. The surprise maneuver shattered the enemy's front formation, and several Shatterborn vessels broke apart. The Queen looked at Elias with a faint spark of approval. "Unpredictable," she said. "It works," he replied with a small grin. The battle intensified. The swarm pressed harder, and several Vhor-Khazi ships took heavy damage. Elias felt the tension rising, not just in the room, but in the whole fleet. Shakira's breathing shifted. Elias knew what it meant. "The link," she said softly. "I need your strength." He nodded without hesitation. The queen placed one hand on the back of his neck and the other over his heart. A soft blue glow spread from her palms. Elias felt a wave of emotion wash over him. Not his, but the fleet's. Fear, determination, hope, doubt. He pushed forward with all the strength he had, focusing on unity, courage, and resolve. And the fleet felt it. A renewed roar echoed through the channels as Vorkazi warriors surged forward with fresh energy. Together, the two leaders directed the battle. Human creativity and alien discipline blended into a single, powerful force. Within minutes, the Shatterborn began to retreat. Elias opened his eyes, breathing heavily. Shakira stepped back, equally exhausted. "You see now," she said quietly, "why I cannot do this alone." Elias nodded. "We win together." And as the last enemy ship vanished into the dark, the united fleet let out a cry that shook the stars. Commander Elias Ward stood on the bridge of the Vohor Kazi command ship, with the faint tremble of the battle still lingering in his muscles. The victory at the outpost had given the united fleet a spark of confidence, but Elias sensed something darker beneath it, an uneasy tension, like the calm before the real storm. Queen Shakira sensed it too. She stood silent beside him, her tall frame still and thoughtful, her glowing eyes fixed on the stars outside the viewport. "The Shatterborn retreated too quickly," Elias said quietly. "They gave up the outpost without a fight." Shakira lowered her head slightly. "They have learned from us. They know. We are joining forces. They are preparing something larger. Something final." Before Elias could answer, a soft alarm chimed across the bridge. A human communications officer turned toward him, her face pale. "Commander, incoming message from Earth." Elias's stomach tightened. "Put it through." A hologram flickered to life, revealing Admiral Garrett, one of the top human leaders. Static crackled through the image, and his voice sounded strained. "Elias, listen carefully. The Shatterborn have attacked the Sol system. They came out of nowhere. Mars' defenses are failing. Luna bases are under fire. Earth is next." Elias felt the blood drain from his face. "How long until Earth falls?" Garrett hesitated, then answered with grim honesty. "Hours. Maybe less." A loud explosion echoed behind him. "We need you. Bring the Alliance fleet home now." The transmission cut abruptly. Elias stood frozen for a moment. The weight of those words, falling on him, like a collapsing world. Earth, the heart of humanity, was in danger. Billions of lives, families, friends, everything. Shakira stepped closer, her voice calm but steady. "Your home calls to you." Elias turned slowly. "I can't leave your people. I promised." Her voice softened in a way he had never heard before. "Elias, if Earth falls, Vorkazun falls next. If you fall, I fall. Our fates are joined." He met her gaze and saw no hesitation, no doubt, only certainty. "Prepare the fleet," she commanded. "We go to Sol." Within moments, the United Armada changed course. Engines lighting up the void, with fierce blue and silver flames. Human ships mixed with Vihor Kazi vessels, forming one formation, two species moving with one purpose. As they jumped through space, Elias remained on the bridge, staring at the stars rushing by. Memories filled his mind. Earth's oceans, its bustling cities, the laughter of his sister back home. Everything could be gone by the time they arrived. Shakira placed a hand gently on his arm. "Your fears are loud," she murmured, "but you must not let them break you." He took a slow breath. "I'm not afraid for myself. I'm afraid for my people." "You stand for them," she said, "and they will feel that strength." Hours passed in tense silence as the fleet neared the Sol system. When they finally emerged from hyperspace, the sight before them made everyone on the bridge freeze. Earth was under siege. Shatterborn ships swarmed around the blue planet like a dark storm. Mars had already fallen. The red world burned with streaks of fire. Luna bases were in ruins. Human defense fleets fought desperately, but were hopelessly outnumbered. Elias felt his chest tighten painfully, but the Queen stepped forward with fierce determination. "Vorkazi fleet," she commanded, her voice filling every ship. Her words lit a fire in the hearts of both armies. The united fleet surged forward. The first clash hit with explosive force. Shatterborn ships turned instantly, their jagged forms swirling toward the new threat. Human warships released volleys of energy, fire. Vorkazi cruisers cut through enemy lines with burning precision. Elias took command beside the Queen, shouting clear, sharp orders. "Don't let them surround the Earth shield. Push the western flank. Target the central swarm cluster." The Queen added her own instructions. "Silent wings. Break their formation. Shield carriers. Protect the humans." For the first time in the war, the Shatterborn faced an enemy they hadn't expected, an alliance of minds and strength. But the enemy didn't weaken. They adapted. Within minutes, new waves emerged from behind the moon, thicker and stronger. They pushed into the human front, breaking through defenses. A human battleship exploded in a burst of bright metal. A Vorkazi carrier lost control and spiraled downward toward Earth's atmosphere. Elias clenched his fists. "We can't hold them like this, there's too many." Shakira didn't answer. Instead, she closed her eyes. Elias saw pain flicker through her expression, as if a heavy weight pressed on her spirit. "The bond," she whispered. "We need the bond again." Elias nodded immediately. "Do it. Do it." She reached out, placing her long hands gently on his temples. This time, the connection was deeper, so deep, it felt like his breath merged with hers. A wave of emotions flooded him. Not just fear and hope, but the raw courage of every soldier in the fleet. The connection spread across the armada like a pulse of light. Human pilots felt Vorkazi discipline. Vorkazi warriors felt human determination. Two species became one force. "Now!" Elias shouted. The fleet moved with terrifying unity. Human ships executed wild, impossible maneuvers. Vorkazi vessels covered them with precise formations. They hit the Shatterborn from all sides at once. The tide began to turn, but suddenly, a massive Shatterborn dreadnought emerged near Earth, its hull shaped like a dark blade. Energy gathered along its spine. Shakira gasped. "That weapon, it will cut through Earth's planetary shield." "We need to stop it," Elias said. "Together," she replied. They reached out through the link, guiding the entire fleet toward the dreadnought. Human bombers dove straight into the enemy fire, sacrificing themselves to weaken the shield. Vorkazi assault ships slammed energy lances into its hull. But the dreadnought was too strong. Its weapon charged brighter. Elias felt despair creeping into the link. Then Shakira took his hand firm, steady, unshaking. "Do not break," she whispered. "Where you stand, we stand. Show them." Elias focused every part of his mind, every memory of Earth, every spark of courage he had into the bond. The fleet felt it. They pushed harder. A final wave of united fire struck the dreadnought. It cracked. It split. It exploded, its energy harmlessly scattering across space. A thunderous cheer filled the comms. "Humans, Vorkazi," one voice. But Shakira staggered, her arms shook. Elias caught her. "Shakira, are you?" She managed a weak breath. "I shielded your colony ship from the backlash." Her voice trembled. "The telepathic strain is too much." Elias held her carefully, steadying her with one arm. You saved them. All of them. Her eyes drifted shut for a moment. But the battle isn't over, she said softly. And she was right. More Shatterborn ships were approaching. The final strike was coming. Elias stood tall, holding the Queen close but never letting fear touch his voice as he faced the fleet. Prepare for the last wave, he ordered. This is our home. This is our galaxy. And the united armies answered with fierce determination. Together we stand. The final wave of enemy ships moved through the darkness like a living storm. Their jagged hulls glowed with sickly red lines, and the empty space around them seemed to twist as they advanced. Commander Elias Ward held his ground on the command deck, his hands steady even as the ship trembled beneath his boots. Queen Shakira stood beside him, still weakened from shielding the colony ship, but she refused to sit or rest. Her people needed her. Humanity needed her. And Elias needed her strength at his side. The bridge was filled with tense voices and rapid movement. Human officers shouted updates. Vorkazi warriors clicked their commands across their channels. Warning lights flashed again and again, showing the incoming force. If this wave broke through, Earth would fall. And if Earth fell, the Alliance would crumble, and the galaxy would be left defenseless. Elias raised his voice. All ships form defensive rings around Earth's shield. Don't let anything through. A chorus of acknowledgements echoed through the comms. Human ships moved quickly, forming rough but flexible lines. Vorkazi vessels shaped tight, precise formations to reinforce the gaps. For a moment, it looked like the united fleet truly moved as one. Shakira watched the enemy ships with narrowed eyes. They are not testing us this time, she said softly. This is their true strength. Their final attack. Elias glanced at her. Then we give everything we have left. She nodded. As one. The first enemy barrage struck the Alliance fleet with brutal force. A wave of crimson energy swept across the defensive lines, throwing ships off course and breaking smaller vessels apart. Elias gripped the command rail as the deck shook violently. Alarms wailed, and smoke drifted from a damaged console. We're losing the eastern flank, a human officer shouted. Silent wings, move to support, Shakira ordered. Shield carriers, absorb the next strike. Her voice carried a fierce, steady authority. Even weakened, she commanded the battlefield like a seasoned warrior queen. Elias felt the fleet respond to her presence as much as to her words. The Shatterborn swarmed closer. Their smaller fighters buzzed like angry insects, cutting into human ships with sharp precision. Their larger cruisers fired continuous beams that melted through Vorkazi armor. The dreadnought they had destroyed earlier was only one piece of the enemy's arsenal. Elias focused on the holographic map. The enemy wasn't just trying to break the defenses, they were pushing toward a specific point. A direct line to Earth's northern shield generator. They're targeting the shield core, he said. If that falls, Earth is finished. Shakira turned to him. Then we must intercept them before they reach it. But there are too many, Elias said. Even the whole fleet won't stop that entire line. The Queen closed her eyes for a moment, as if making a decision she had feared. Then, we use the ancient weapon. Elias looked at her sharply. The one we saw in the war room? The one you said could change the galaxy? Yes, she said. But it cannot be fired alone. It requires a united command, a shared purpose. Two leaders, bonded through trust. He understood. You mean us? Shakira nodded quietly. Only together can we activate it. My ancestors designed it to respond to two minds, two wills. It was meant to prevent any one ruler from misusing such power. Elias felt the responsibility settle heavily on him. Beneath my command chamber, she said. We must go now. He gave one final order to the fleet. Hold your lines. Buy us time. We're going to try something big. Try. Buy us time. Trime. Trime. The Queen led him down the corridor as the ship trembled again from enemy fire. The lights flickered, dust fell from the ceiling, and energy sparks crackled across damaged panels. But they kept moving until they reached a sealed door. Shakira pressed her hand against the panel, and ancient symbols glowed as the door slid open to reveal a circular chamber filled with soft blue light. In the center stood a large device shaped like a ring of crystal and metal, pulsing slowly like a heartbeat. Elias felt a strange energy hum in his bones. "This is the Starcore Lance," Shakira said. "A weapon of pure, focused energy. It will not destroy planets, but it can break fleets. If we fire it at the enemy wave, it may give the Alliance a chance to win." Elias approached it carefully. "What do we need to do?" Shakira stepped to one side of the device and placed her hands on two glowing arcs. "Stand, opposite me." He did the same. As soon as his hands touched the arcs, a soft vibration spread through his arms. The crystal ring brightened. "Now," she said softly, "open your mind." Elias nodded and focused on trust, on the bond they had built through battles and choices. Shakira reached out telepathically, and the link formed instantly, stronger than any before. He felt her strength, her fear, her hope, her determination, and she felt his. Their minds flowed into the Starcore Lance. The device awakened. Light surged around them as the chamber filled with energy. The ship groaned under the pressure, but the device continued to charge. Outside, the Shatterborn drew closer to Earth's shield. Elias felt his breath shorten. "It's too much energy." Shakira steadied him. "Do not break. I am with you." He held the bond tightly, focusing not on fear, but on everything he fought for: Earth, humanity, the Alliance, and the Queen who had trusted him. The energy peaked. "Now!" Shakira cried. Together, they released the power. A massive beam of pure blue light burst from the ship, cutting across space like a blade. It tore through the approaching Shatterborn wave, shattering their cruisers, splitting their carriers, and scattering their fighters. The entire battlefield lit up as enemy vessels disintegrated in the light. The united fleet erupted in a roar of victory. Humans cheered. Vorkazi shouted their clicking war cries. For the first time in centuries, the Shatterborn broke completely and fled into the darkness. But inside the chamber, Elias and Shakira collapsed to their knees, breathless. The strain had taken nearly everything from them. Elias forced himself upright and reached out to steady her. "You did it," he whispered. "We did it." Shakira looked up at him. "The galaxy is safe. For now." The doors slid open as officers rushed in, cheering wildly. Both humans and Vorkazi bowed their heads to their leaders. Elias helped Shakira stand. She leaned lightly on him but held her posture with dignity. "You stood like a king," she said, quietly. "And you stood like a queen," he answered. Together, they returned to the bridge, where the fleet awaited them. The war had changed everything. Humanity and Vorkazuun were no longer strangers. Their destinies were now tied forever. As the stars settled into calm again, Elias and Shakira stood side by side, looking out at the peaceful blue sphere of Earth. Two leaders, two worlds, one alliance that had saved the galaxy, and one future they would shape together.